Hey everybody, and welcome back to some more Oxygen Not Included. We're back here with the Luckless Dystopia, which is the name of our colony. It's Cycle 5, and at the end of last episode, we had just unlocked our first piece of research, which was farming, which unlocked us the algae terrariums, which recycle carbon dioxide into a small amount of oxygen, and they also gain a minor efficiency boost when in direct light, which I actually didn't know until right now, and we might want to try and implement that down here with these two algae terrariums. I think under, I don't think it's utilities, it might be under furniture. Yeah, we got the floor lamp, and so putting down a floor lamp maybe right about, I was going to say right about here, but I think I might actually put it right about there, because one thing that I do also want to do at the start of today's episode is throw down two more of these algae terrariums down here at the bottom of the base, because right now, although we've got a good supply of oxygen, and I mean a really good supply of oxygen, you can see up here, the top two levels where our duplicates spend most of their time is filled with highly concentrated oxygen-filled air. I think the reason why that's happening is because we've still got a good amount of oxalite up here on the top level, and I think over the next episode or so, as these like little pockets here disappear, I think we're going to end up in a pretty bad situation when it comes to oxygen production if we don't get on top of it early. I think this is really apparent when we look at the reports. You can see right now, so far today we've produced 6.7 kilograms of oxygen with these two algae terrariums, but we've consumed 53.6 kilograms of oxygen, and so right now we're only really producing just a bit more than 10% of the oxygen that we're using, and so we definitely need to start looking into producing more oxygen through a couple more of these algae terrariums, which is what we're doing down here, and hopefully having that floor lamp will increase the production of oxygen from all of these algae terrariums as well. I'm not quite sure if this thing is going to require power. I would assume that it does, because otherwise I have no idea how that would work. Yeah, that makes sense that it would require power. So let's quickly run a couple of cables up and behind these ladders. I did mention before that I'm not a huge fan of having those cables just kind of open and visible behind the ladders like that, but there isn't really another easy way to get the power around and down to this lamp without going through the ladders, and so for now, I think that should be just fine. Someone should come and build this thing, hopefully fairly soon here, and what we should probably do for the start of today's episode, before we get carried away with some of the other stuff, is get another piece of research going. So, we have a couple of options here. We could either do one of the remaining four kind of first tiers of research, or we could start looking at some of the second tiers here. More specifically, we could work on fine dining, because we've now got access to this because we did farming last episode. But I think what I'm going to work towards here is sanitation, because sanitation unlocks us a couple of key items. It unlocks us the air deodorizer, which reduces the threat of disease by filtering out polluted oxygen in the air, which right now isn't a huge problem for us, but might become one in the fairly near future. We've got the lavatory, which greatly reduces stress and disease by hygienically handling duplicate waste. This is basically an upgraded version of the outhouse that we currently have right at the bottom of our base. We've also got the hand sanitizer and the shower, which both work to prevent disease by basically making all of our duplicates more hygienic, just in general. And so I think what we're going to do to start with here is unlock liquid piping, which then will allow us to unlock sanitation. And the liquid piping in and of itself also unlocks some pretty useful features. As the name suggests, it unlocks liquid pumps as well as some pipes to allow us to automatically pump out the water from like this pool over here and have it go around to things like the showers and like the lavatories that we're going to unlock in a little bit here, but this is all underway nicely, which is good. We'll speed things up just a little bit here, and I think I will go ahead and get another duplicate. I know I said last episode that we want to try and keep our colony as small as possible, but right now we've got one person who will hopefully almost always be researching. Until we've completed the research tree, we want somebody researching new things as often as we possibly can. We've got another person who should almost certainly always be on the manual generator to produce as much power as is possible, to make sure that all of our machines and all of our facilities are working constantly, to make sure they don't go offline, and to make sure that our batteries are fully charged enough to get us through the evening whilst all of our duplicates sleep. And then we should have a third duplicate who is making food. Now, the food thing doesn't take a full day to complete, but it does mean that having a fourth duplicate to do other things like digging and building whilst the other three duplicates manage power, research, and food would be quite nice to have. And I think right now that having a fourth duplicate will be more beneficial to us than the amount of food and oxygen that they're going to consume. And so we're going to choose another duplicate. I will hit play because I think this will keep running maybe while we do this. I guess not. It looks like the game has paused in the background here, but we've got three new duplicates that we can choose from. We can choose Abe. I think that's pronounced Banhi? I'm not quite sure how that's pronounced, as well as Ruby here on the end. Now, unlike in the start of the game where you can reshuffle the duplicates, once you've actually started the game, you have to just pick one of the 3 that you're given, or you can click reject all, and then a little bit later on down the line, they'll offer you another 3 that you can choose from if you don't like any of these. But what do we have here? We've got Abe, who's got +6 learning, as well as Diver's Lungs, which means that this duplicate consumes less air than everybody else, which is a really good trait to have, especially early on when we're kind of struggling with our oxygen generation. This duplicate is just going to consume less oxygen than anybody else, and so that is a really good thing to have. Biohazard means the duplicate is going to get sick more often. That is a pretty bad one, but considering we are moving towards sanitation, might not be too bad. Over here, we've got Twinkle Toes. The duplicate is more athletic. That would be really useful for our wheel, and also the construction is quite nice as well. Yokel means that the duplicate can't perform research. This is kind of fine because I don't really think we need that many of our duplicates performing research at any given time. And then finally over here with Ruby, we've got Iron Gut. This duplicate can eat just about anything without getting sick, which is good, but they're a mouth breather, which is kind of the exact opposite of the Diver's Lungs over here. And so they consume more air and then therefore more oxygen than anybody else in the base. And so I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go with the center one. And just so I don't go through the whole series here mispronouncing that name, I'm going to quickly rename this person to like Sarah. Sure, we'll give that a capital S just because we are not savages. And then there we go. We'll go ahead and select Sarah and print her out. And so now we have our 4th duplicate. So let me quickly go on over to jobs before we continue here. Sarah, I want you to be doing power, I guess. What don't I want you to do? I don't want you to do research, which you can't because you're a yokel. And actually, looking at this, I think that Sarah is kind of fine doing anything, you know. Preferably power would be a nice one to have you doing, but I might take Marie off of power and kind of have Sarah be the one to do that because she does have that 7 athletics, and so she is going to be better than anybody else. Obviously, Joshua would be the one to have ideally, but Joshua's got other stuff to do, given that he is one of the only people who will cook, and he is better at cooking than Sarah. And so I think for now we will leave Sarah on the wheel. One thing that I did want to do in today's episode is get down a couple more of these tiny batteries. Now, batteries do produce heat. If we look at the temperature overlay real quick, you'll see that the battery is ever so slightly kind of more yellowy orange than everything else around it. And so if we do put too many of these together, it is going to kind of greatly increase the temperature of the base. And so what I think I might do is put my batteries kind of down here with the outhouse. It seems a bit odd, but I think having them down here is going to help keep the upper levels a little bit warmer. This might seem like an excessive amount of batteries, but these tiny batteries are not great. You can see it stores a bit of runoff power from generators, but loses charge over time. So not only does it not hold a lot of power, but it also loses power over time. Now, there are better batteries that we can build later on down the line, but for the time being, until we unlock the research for that battery, these tiny batteries are going to have to do keeping all of our stuff running whilst we don't have somebody on the power wheel. And so let's just run this all the way over like so. And actually, no, you know what? I'm going to cancel all of these ones like so, and I'm actually going to put down some tiles here on the bottom floor because we should really have tiles pretty much anywhere that our duplicates go. Not only is it good for decor, it means that they are less likely to be stressed, and I'm fairly certain they also move faster on the tiles. I might be wrong on that, but I'm fairly certain that the duplicates do move faster when they're walking on these tiles. We're also out of space, and so we should throw down a couple more of these storage compactors kind of over here on this floor. That one is not where I want to put that, and so I'll quickly pause and get rid of that one. But we'll throw down a few more storage compactors over here, and hopefully tomorrow, if we get like a free duplicate, we can start to pick up all the stuff that is pretty much everywhere all over our base here. But there we go. All of our batteries are now online. All of the flooring is nearly done. Let's quickly run this power cable through the floor and then up, I guess, to like that over there. We should probably do it here as well. We'll get rid of that. And then we'll also get rid of this and then deconstruct. Can I deconstruct that power cable real quick? Is that something that I can do without destroying the terrarium? If I go to the grid overlay and then deconstruct, yeah, there we go. Okay, I think that should get rid. There we go. Yeah, that got rid of the power cable. Now it should run around and up into our lamp. Good stuff, good stuff. How are we doing on oxygen? So now we're still using a heck of a lot of oxygen. We're still using 170 kilograms today alone, which is crazy, but we've now produced 70 kilograms, which as a ratio is a lot better than it was before, because earlier we were producing about 10% of the oxygen that we were using. Now it's like a third of the oxygen that we're using and we're also producing. We do also, now looking at this, need to get another cot ready for our 4th duplicate. So also first thing in the morning, let's throw down another one of these. Preferably I would like to have one like here, and so I might just deconstruct this one when the day starts. I'll put one of them here and one of them there. what do we need to get done tomorrow? We need to queue up a couple more of these mush bars. I think lice loaf would be a better choice here. How much food did we use today? Let me quickly get rid of this stuff and look at the report for yesterday. Yesterday, we removed 3,471 calories and we produced only 2,800. So I think now with 4 duplicates, we should probably, you guessed it, produce 4 of those in a day as opposed to just 3. We'll hit play here and try and skip through the night as fast as possible. We do need to tweak these a little bit. So I want these to store everything, but I also don't want them to store polluted dirt, because polluted dirt, having it stored inside of these storage containers, I believe, can start to pollute the air around it, which is not what we want to happen. And as we're going to do the same thing for all of these compactors here, we're going to have the same filters on all of these. What we can do, which I think is new to the agricultural update for oxygen not included, is click copy settings down here and then just paste these settings onto all of these compactors. And I'm also going to do it here and here, because I think that these before were still set to store polluted dirt, which again, we don't want to happen. And I think the same is true for slime. When we start digging out some of the slime over here, which we can use to produce oxygen later on down the line, we also don't want to store that in our containers either, because that's also going to do the same thing where it causes the air around it to become polluted. Are we doing... Oh, we don't have meal lice. Okay, so let me cancel those. Can I cancel these? Yeah, let's cancel all those. Let's schedule up 5 mush bars. I thought we had what it took to make the lice loaf, but apparently not. So we'll make some of those mush bars. 4 should be fine for the day. We should have Sarah on that thing pretty much all day long. All these batteries are filling up nicely, which is good. How are we doing on oxygen? The oxygen production is going fine, but if we look at our overlay now, you can see that we're kind of starting to run out of oxygen in this kind of middle layer here. It's still fine, it's still sufficiently concentrated with oxygen, but the amount that's in there is slowly starting to decrease. You can see the number is going down, and so what I think I might do here as well, we've unlocked new stuff. Oh, research is complete. We unlocked plumbing. Nice! So let me quickly jump back in, actually, before we continue with the oxygen stuff. Let me quickly jump back into research, and let's get started on sanitation. But what I was going to say here is that the amount of oxygen in this middle layer is going down, and so what I think I will do for the higher levels here is put down a few of these algae deoxidizers. These things do require power and don't get rid of carbon dioxide, but what they do is produce oxygen and also increase the air pressure of these higher levels, and increasing the air pressure is, I believe, going to help push the carbon dioxide that is in these higher levels down and towards the bottom levels here faster than it normally would. So let's grab some power cables and let's quickly hook both of these up like so. How much power are we using here? So we're using 5 watts down here on our floor lamp. These are all storing power, which is good. We're using 60 watts on the research station, which takes up to 65, and then each one of these uses 120, which is an extra 240 watts, taking us up to, I think, 305 watts in total there, which is fine because we can produce 400 watts on the manual wheel here. We do want to keep an eye on that, because once we start using kind of passively more than 400, all of our batteries are not going to start filling up throughout the day, which is not great. How are we doing now in terms of oxygen? Yeah, look at this. Look how much better this just one room is here. Now that we've got these 2 algae deoxidizers in here, it's significantly more concentrated. And as you can see already, there is kind of less carbon dioxide here, and I think it is working possibly to push down more of the carbon dioxide to these bottom layers. And even down here, the oxygen now is doing really, really well. And you can see that we are now almost at the point where we're producing more oxygen than we are using, which is great. And so let me quickly get rid of this bed here. Let's deconstruct this guy if we can, and let's put down 2 more cots, both once this is gone. We'll put them down here and here, like so. I'm not quite sure what happens to deconstructed objects like that. Do you actually keep the cot and then we're just gonna go put it back down, or does it just like break it down into its base materials and then we get those back? I'm not quite sure. We've got 2 more cots, which is good. So all of our duplicates will have somewhere to sleep. We do have the option here for a 5th duplicate, which again, I'm not going to take just yet, but we might have a look into it at some point in the future. And overall here, I think things are doing pretty well. We've got enough calories to sustain everybody here. If we look at the reports, we've generated 4,000 calories and used just less than 4,000 calories. We've produced just a little bit less than the oxygen that we removed. Hopefully tomorrow, which will be our first full day with these algae deoxidizers, we might even produce more than we use, which would be great. We've got storage under control, we've got power under control. I do want to upgrade our outhouse to a lavatory as soon as we complete the research. How is the research doing? It's doing fairly well. We've almost completed the novice section, and we're going to move on to the intermediary research tomorrow. And what we need to work on now really is making sure that A, we always have enough algae. I think it's under under organic here. Yeah, right now we've got almost 2,000 kilograms of algae in storage, which is fantastic. And we also have quite a lot of it stored up over here, which is good as well. We do want to start working towards unlocking researchers which allow us to produce oxygen without algae, because it is kind of a finite resource, which, although we have a lot of right now, we are going to run out of eventually. And food is also a big one. I do want to start working on kind of phasing out the microbe musher in favor of some of these planter boxes here. So actually, we'll throw down a couple of these right now, I think on this level here. So what we'll do is we'll put down one like here. Oh, you can put them down like right next to each other like that. Perfect. And so hopefully we can move into an area where we can grow all of our food and become self-sufficient on food that we grow, as opposed to using the microbe musher, which doesn't produce the greatest food in the world, but also requires water, which, although we have a good amount of it right now, we got like a bit of water down here, a little bit up here, and then of course the bit that we're using over here, it is kind of a finite resource, and we really don't want to be eating it where possible. And so if we can move away from using the microbe musher and water to produce food, that'd be great. So let's have a look over here. We've got a bunch of mealwood seeds. We've got 6 of them in total, so we'll go ahead and plant all of those. And did we build 6 boxes? No, we built 5 boxes. That's fine. Oh, do I have to click plant? I do. Okay, so we'll go ahead and plant these in here. Can I copy settings again? I can. Let's go boom, 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 boom. And we might as well build one more over here just to make use of that last mealwood seed that we have. And then we should probably actually maybe just continue on a bit more like this and plant even more of these seeds that we have here. What else do we have? We got blossom seeds, and then we don't have any sleet wheat seeds, but I guess we can get those at some point in the future. So let's plant our last mealwood seed, and then let's plant down 2 of these blossom seeds, both here and here. That does leave us with 1 unused planter box, which we can fill at some point in the future. I did see a couple of, there's a little bit of mealwood up here, and then quite a bit more of it up here as well. But I don't want to dig up just yet, because as we mentioned a couple of times now, the oxygen will rise and the carbon dioxide will fall. And so if we do too much digging upwards into, for example, this area and this area, all of the oxygen that is currently sitting in this really nice area over here where all of our duplicates are working is going to move up into these vacuums over here and just make our base overall, the working area of it at least, just a little bit less concentrated, which is really not what we want. At some point we will of course move up into this area, but for now I'd like to keep our base really as small as possible to make sure we can keep it as concentrated as possible as well. I'm really happy with the oxygen that we're doing right now. We are very, very close to producing as much as we are using, and the base as a whole is doing really well. Like, the whole base is at a high concentration right now. Food is good. Hopefully we can get sustainable on food with this later on down the line. We do have a couple of duplicates who are not doing anything right now, and so I am going to do a bit of digging down here for some more metal, and I think we'll also build another platform over here. I know I just said I wanted the base to be as small as possible, but I think just a little bit of expansion kind of into here, and we'll dig out like this area like so. It's going to give us a little bit more space to work with to build some new stuff in the coming episodes. How are we doing? Is research complete? I'm missing. No, it's not. That is because we haven't done the intermediate research, but that is because the intermediate research requires a supercomputer, which we do not yet have. And so, under stations, let's build this big old supercomputer that we can throw down right about there, and then, of course, run some power cables over to it, like so. And hopefully that should unlock the sanitation research for us, at which point, what do we want to start working towards next? I know that somewhere in here, I'm not quite sure where it is battery, interior design. Interior design might not be a bad one. Our stress is really low right now, but interior design just boosts the decor rating of the place and allows us to keep that stress as low as possible. We've got med bay, which will unlock some more stuff in terms of medication. We've got pressure management, insulation, temperature management, gas piping. Gas piping, I think, is probably what we'll go for next, because it unlocks the gas permeable tiles, which are basically the same as normal tiles, but they allow gas to move more freely throughout the base, and so it'll be even easier for all of the carbon dioxide here to kind of move down through the floor and to the lower levels, as opposed to slowly making its way towards the middle here, where we've got this ladder that allows it to then drop down into the bottom levels here. And then also, after that, I would like to start working on percolation, because percolation unlocks the air scrubber, which filters carbon dioxide and removes it from the air, as well as unlocking the electrolyzer, which produces a steady supply of oxygen using piped water. I don't know if we're going to use that, because again, water is a resource that is kind of hard to come by, and one that we don't want to use unnecessarily, but there is probably more carbon dioxide being produced than we can use by our our plants down here, and so where possible, the air scrubber would come in useful just to get rid of those little extra bits of carbon dioxide that we don't want. But with that, guys, I think I'm going to end this episode of Oxygen Not Included there, and we've got a good source of food. We're producing almost as much oxygen as we are using. We've got a good source of power. We're storing the power in the batteries. Next time we'll come back, we'll do some more research. We'll unlock some more of these sanitation, try and get the hygiene up in the base. Hopefully none of our duplicates become ill. We might get a 5th duplicate some point soon to try and expand even quicker. We'll do some more building to get some more space for our duplicates and progress on like that. But with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.